Hello everyone and welcome to Barca News. It's September 29, 2022 and it's reported that Manchester City could make it a little bit less difficult for Barcelona to try to sign Bernardo Silva next summer. Also, it's reported that Zubimendi is close to extending his contract with Real Sociedad, and Alberto Moleiro has spoken out about Barcelona's interest in him over the summer. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, we begin with the news that the team are still undergoing preparations ahead of their match on Saturday against Real Mallorca. Now Xavi currently has a problem on who's going to start in the right back position, given that Hector Bellerin is injured and will be out 3 to 4 weeks. Now both Ronald Araujo and Jules Koundé have both played in the right back position. However, both players are also out and will be out for quite some time. It's now being reported that Sergi Roberto, who has been injured for quite some time, will be ready for Saturday's match. However, this could still pose a problem given Sergi Roberto's injury history. It's most likely that he will not be able to play 90 minutes of every match, given that Barcelona have a very hectic calendar where they're going to be playing 2 matches every week until the World Cup begins in November. Now Xavi has several options to solve this problem with the right back position. One of them being having another center back play in the right back position, the same way Jules Koundé and Ronald Araujo have done in the past. Now both Eric Garcia and Andreas Christensen have played as right backs in their careers. So we could see a lineup with Eric Garcia as a right back, Piqué and Andreas Christensen in the center back, or Christensen in the right back with Eric Garcia and Piqué as center backs. Now another option for Xavi is to have a left back play in the right back position, the same way we've seen in the past with Serginho Dest. However, it's a little bit hard to imagine Alejandro Balde, Marcos Alonso or Jordi Alba playing in the right back position. Now Marcos Alonso is the most versatile player amongst those 3 players, where he has played as a left back, full back, and even as a wing back. However, he has never played on the right side, so this option will be a little bit more difficult to implement. Now another option for Xavi would be to play with a line of 3, meaning using 3 center backs such as Piqué, Eric Garcia, and Andreas Christensen, and having Alejandro Balde or Marcos Alonso floating between the offense on the defense, depending on whether Barcelona has the ball or not. So if Barcelona have the ball, Alejandro Balde could join the offense, leaving a line of 3 in the back, and if Barcelona loses the ball, then Alejandro Balde can come back down and form a line of 4 with the other 3 center backs. Now on to the news that it's been reported that Matteo Alemany has had to change the way Barcelona drafts the contracts of their first team players. Now when Alemany joined the club upon the election of Joan Laporta, not only did he discover a huge wage bill thanks to the previous president Josep Maria Bartomeu, but he also discovered that the previous administration were doing a poor job in drafting the contracts of the first team players. Now Bartomeu was notorious not only for spending huge amounts on transfer fees and huge amounts on players' salaries, but he was also notorious for including huge bonuses and variables. Now it appears that some of these bonuses and variables were tied to how many minutes a player played. However, they did not account for injury time. So for example, if a player had a clause in his contract stating that he needs to play 50 matches in order to receive a certain bonus, if he played only 10 matches and was injured for 40 matches, that still counted that he was with the club for 50 matches and that player would receive the bonus. Another example was the participation or starting ratio, meaning that if a player started in 1 match and was later injured for 9 matches, that player would receive a 100% starting rate or participation ratio, and as a result would receive a bonus for that as well. Now Matteo Alemany has had to change how Barcelona does business, and the contracts now do account for injury time. So if a player is injured, then that counts against him as far as participation time, starting ratio, or minutes played. Now some of the players that benefit from this past administration blunder was Dembele, Coutinho, and Griezmann, who had long injuries but still received millions in euros for matches that they never played in. Now on to the news that the English media are reporting that Manchester City could make it a bit easier for Barcelona to try to sign Bernardo Silva during next summer transfer window. Now as I reported previously, Barcelona are still interested in signing Bernardo Silva, given that Xavi considers him the missing piece on his team. Now Barcelona tried to sign Bernardo Silva over the summer. However, Manchester City played hardball because he is one of the key players on Pep Guardiola's team. Well, it's now being reported that Manchester City could make it a bit easier for the player to leave next summer, as long as Silva is the one that requests from the club to be allowed to leave prior to his contract expiration in 2025. Now, it's also reported that Manchester City have set a price of 80 million euros for the Portuguese midfielder. So we're going to have to see whether Barcelona are willing to pay that high price tag for Xavi's #1 option to reinforce the midfield. Now, speaking of midfielders, it's reported that Zubimendi is close to extending his contract with Real Sociedad. Now, with the possible departure of Sergio Busquets at the end of his contract in the summer of 2023, the club are currently looking for a replacement for Busquets. Now, it's reported that Xavi's favorite player to replace Sergio Busquets is Real Sociedad's midfielder Zubimendi. Now, Zubimendi currently has a contract with Real Sociedad until 2025 with a 60 million euro release clause. What's now being reported that Real Sociedad are looking to extend Zubimendi's contract from 2025 until 2027 and increasing his release clause from 60 million euros to 90 million euros. Now, it was reported that Barcelona were not willing to pay 60 million euros for Zubimendi and that they were looking to negotiate that clause down. So it's going to be less likely that Barcelona will be willing to pay 90 million euros for the young midfielder. Now, on to the news that Alberto Moleiro has spoken about Barcelona's interest in him over the summer. Now, as I reported over the summer, Barcelona were very close to signing Alberto Moleiro from Las Palmas. Now, Moleiro is an 18-year-old attacking midfielder, and he has been labeled as the new Pedri, and he is one of the most promising talents in Spain. Now, Barcelona were very close to signing Alberto Moleiro over the summer with a plan of loaning him back to Las Palmas over this season so he can continue his growth and development, while at the same time Barcelona lock in one of the future stars of Spain. Now, Moleiro has confirmed in an interview that Barcelona were close to signing him over the summer, and he said that he was very happy to hear that because Barcelona is the club that he has loved since he was a child. Now, Las Palmas president has also confirmed that Barcelona were very close to signing Moleiro. However, Barcelona were unable to do so because of the financial fair play restriction. So now it's not clear whether Barcelona is going to try to sign Alberto Moleiro in the future once they clear more space on their wage bill, or whether they're going to let this young talent go. Now, on to the news that Ronald Araujo is not giving up on his dream to play the World Cup with Uruguay. Now, as I reported in yesterday's video, which I will leave the link for down below in the description in case you want to check it out, Ronald Araujo underwent successful surgery yesterday in Finland on his adductor muscle in his right thigh. Now, as a result, Ronald Araujo will most likely be out of action for 2 to 3 months. However, the player is not discarding being ready for the World Cup, and he has stated that he's going to try to do his best to recover so he can play the World Cup with Uruguay. Now, Uruguay's first World Cup match will be on November 24th against South Korea. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to imagine Ronald Araujo being able to recover from a surgery and be physically fit for this match in less than 2 months. Now, Ronald Araujo has also said that despite not wanting to quit on his dream to play in the World Cup with Uruguay, his top priority remains to recover 100%. Now, we will end today's video with the news that Rafa Marquez has confirmed that Pablo Torre will remain in first team dynamic. Now, as I reported previously, Pablo Torre was signed as a Barca Athletic player with the idea that he would feature with the first team. However, the young player had initially refused to play with Barca Athletic because he didn't want to play in the 3rd division of Spain. Now, after a meeting over the international break, the player and the club agreed that Pablo Torre will play matches with Barca Athletic so he can get as much playing time as possible. However, he will remain in first team dynamic, meaning that he will exclusively train with the first team, and he could also feature in some matches with the first team as well. Now, Pablo Torre featured with Barca Athletic for the first time over the weekend, and Rafa Marquez has confirmed that the player will remain in first team dynamic. Now, Rafa Marquez has said that he does not count on Pablo Torre, given that he remains in first team dynamic and that decisions will come from up top, but he's happy to have him on his team because he considers him a great player, and we all saw what he can contribute to Barca Athletic over the weekend. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I'd like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video, and as always, Visca Barça.